A new era of Louisville soccer began last July, but tonight Lynn Family Stadium is truly in full bloom. Tonight's grand opening features a player who's scored 27 goals in the championship, but none against Louisville, and a young player whose star is just beginning to rise behind these batting eyelash lights. Louisville City, Memphis 901 FC starts right now. It is finally, truly opening night at Lynn Family Stadium. The bricks have been laid, and yes, the steel had risen up from the ground. This used to be a hole in the ground in Butchertown, but now nearly 15,000 are on hand. Yes, the family has come together. It is a reunion of sorts. Grand opening night at Lynn Family Stadium is brought to you by Messer Harmon, proud builders of Lynn Family Stadium. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand, we've got Lou City and Memphis 901 FC meeting here tonight, both below the playoff line in the Central Division. Louisville with a win would jump into a tie with Indy 11 with a game in hand. Memphis could leap above Louisville and into fifth place if they grab a victory. Devin, as I turn to you, Ben Pierman just grabbed his best win as manager last time out.
And it's only going to get better, Mike. When you listen to Ben Pierman talk, specifically in our conversation we had behind closed doors, he used buzzwords: philosophy, formation, pace. What's the tone going to be? But the one that I really took to was the composure, the discipline on the defensive side of the ball. This team can defend with some of the best teams in the entire USL Championship, and they did it on the road at Indy 11 in a 2-1 victory, losing 6 players, 3 to injury, 2 to international, 1 to suspension. This is only going to get better moving forward. Can you now carry that over on the road against the Lou City team that's got back-to-back losses against Indy 11, just like what we saw Memphis 901 FC take down, and Atlanta United 2, which though that does look like a good loss, you still expect them to win those types of games. Louisville have been in this situation before, Mike. Understand that regardless of if it's at home, if it's on the road, early, late in the season, they have had multiple stretches in years past where they have really run into a brick wall, but they persevered through it. Won the championship in 17, won it again in 18. Everybody wanted to talk about getting rid of the head coach in 19, got all the way to the final again. 2020, no big deal, get back to the Eastern Conference Final. This is just another blip in a road. There's no trouble in paradise. This team will be just fine.
And no need to come up with any creative hashtags. The Commonwealth Credit Union player to watch. Commonwealth Credit Union has been bettering lives in the communities they serve for 70 years. Learn more, visit WeSeeYouDifferently.com. It's a center back, Devin.
I love the fact that it is Wes Sharpie, though, because when you talked about him coming into this season, this team was healthy right up until the beginning. This young man right here was fighting for a starting spot on the back line. Taking him a little bit of time to get back in. Was awesome off the bench last time out. Now he gets to wear the shirt. Time to go earn it and prove yourself in the starting 11.
This is going to be special from the opening whistle. Memphis on the road at Louisville. And yes, it is a bit of a family reunion. Lineup kickoff coming up.
If you're deciding between a Toyota or a Honda, you gotta run the numbers. This stylish Corolla beats Honda Civic with 169 horsepower. Corolla Hybrid crushes Civic at 52 miles per gallon. And with 4 exciting Camrys, including a road-gripping all-wheel drive, which you can't even get on a Honda Accord, it's no wonder Camry is #1. Now when you run the numbers, get $1,000 customer cash on any new 21 Corolla, or a 21 Camry, or lease Camry for just $229 a month. Toyota, let's go places.
My live video teller experience was one of a kind. All you have to do is touch the screen and you get a live person. Charlie was the most wonderful teller ever. She walked me through every step. Anything that I need to do is done right there, and it's so quick. It's just instant. Everything's instant. Every question has been answered. Everything is just very smooth. Every transaction has been amazing.
Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently. But we're starting to hear more and more about breakthrough cases, those who have been vaccinated but still got the virus. Help us understand how that happens.
The vaccine itself is not 100%. I think, we're talking about 95%, and the important part of it is you don't typically get severe or life-threatening infections when you do get COVID after the vaccine. But there will be times where, you can be exposed and develop COVID after getting the vaccine. As long as it's a small percentage, I think we're okay.
My life goal is to get more funding for childhood cancer.
Children are dying from diseases from which there's no cure. And if they're only getting 4% of the federal funding to study it, we could probably do a little bit better. Tara, this mom on a mission, is using that as motivation to ultimately ring the bell and say, hey, wake up, we need to solve this. I will never forget what it was like when Tara brought that blanket back to Kristen. This is a story that showed our community at its best.
Lynn Family Stadium playing host to a full crowd, and this is the starting 11 for Louisville City FC. It's presented by Hometown Pizza.
Couple of changes here, notably on the back line. Wes Sharpie, we highlighted in the open mic. Jogo comes into left back position from international duty. Want to keep an eye on the wide spaces with the amount of pace that 901 FC likes to sit and counter. Obviously, the transitional phases for Lou City have to be better in the final third with the amount of opportunities they produced last time out. Just couldn't put them in the back of the net. For Memphis 901 FC, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Simple enough. 2-1 victory on the road against Indy 11. No changes for Ben Pierman's squad. I talked about the wide spots. Atua Henny, Kissia Du, counter great. Kyle Murphy could be the wild card tonight, the way that Tosh and Sharpie, what kind of space they offer up on the back line. Can Murphy drop that into the pocket, or does he try to go in transition 1v1 and break right in between them?
Flowery words have been used to describe this venue, and why not? A cathedral with all of its congregants, 100% capacity for the first time at Lynn Family Stadium. Louisville and Memphis meeting on a gorgeous June night in Kentucky. Louisville coming off a 2-game losing skid. Games in which Danny Cruz, the interim head coach, feels like they've largely played good ball. They just haven't gotten the result for it. And a Memphis side that enters off what has to be the best result of Ben Pierman's tenure. Took over as the interim in September, named the full-time head coach over the offseason. Atua Henny. A bit of hop in there. And played out by Pat McMahon. There's Ben Pierman. First full season as the head man. Well known from his time at Detroit City. Was an assistant coach to Tim Mulqueen. Named an interim, now full-time head coach at the tender age. What, Devin, 35, give or take?
Oh, yeah. we're definitely not we're not long in the tooth with Ben Pierman.
Corner delivered and away Hubbard. Tonight's keys to the game are powered by Kentucky Lottery, who remind you that lottery proceeds fund college scholarship and grant programs, including, Devin, every dollar of the popular Keys Scholarship Program.
The constant speed that a freely falling object eventually reaches when the resistance of the medium through which it is falling prevents further acceleration. That's terminal velocity. That's what Louisville City is trying to achieve. Go as quick as humanly possible in every phase of the game, dictate the tempo, control the shape, and they will be clicking at an extremely high rate. We've seen it real close in years past. Danny Cruz trying to push them beyond the brink to where they've been. For Memphis 901 FC, it's a little bit different. Equilibrium. Balance is something they've really been trying to achieve over these first couple of matches. Quality defensive shape has been there, counter-attacking ever present. Can the press step up a little bit every now and then? More than we've seen in matches past. Can the balance outside as well as on the interior pop its head out in a match like this when you need it most? That's what these teams are looking for.
Nice little interchange here. Bone seeking Del Piccolo.
Appreciate your thesaurus. Yeah, I appreciate your thesaurus, by the way. That was excellent pregame.
When's the last time you took a course that required you to understand terminal velocity?
Have you seen my house on a Friday night? Walking the dogs and putting the kid to bed? It's just, he's back on the throttle, buddy.
Supporters, full-throated support. And how about this? John Berner's got the hat.
Every time I see John Berner, I think about the 2020 season in St. Louis when he had the assist on the 3-2 victory and the comeback over Sporting Kansas City 2, playing for Steve Tritchew. Ball across from the corner, screaming John Berner's name out. Who would have thunk it? Good for him.
30-year-old native of St. Louis, Missouri. Actually was around the Colorado Rapids when Tim Howard was still playing in MLS. Now he's part owner and sporting director of Memphis. Floated ball forward. That'll get away. Chance perhaps to recycle here for Memphis. Threw it to Henny. Leading Paul. Chips, nobody home. As far as Hulpino. Bone. Sharpie. Wes Sharpie did spend time in Memphis. Made the move over to Louisville last year. Times was actually playing outside back for 901. Hulpino's asking why that play didn't continue. That did not escape the line. Bone. First goal scored at this stadium was Speedy Williams. Louisville ended up losing to Pittsburgh shortly after the return to play last year. This will bounce back to Sharpie. Question now is who's going to score the first goal with a full house. Kept in by Greg. Curls across dangerously. This will be a Louisville throw. McMahon hoovers up the return ball. Del Piccolo. This portion of tonight's game brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Away from McMahon. And after considerable thought, a goal kick. Louisville led by Danny Cruz. We spoke to him this week, and he almost asked if we were in the locker room with the players, because the question, when you come off 2 straight losses and the expectations are so high, do you lean on experience? And we've been there and done that. That's very much what they've done. They know exactly what they need to do, and they felt like they've done it before.
We'll recognize the fact that the graphic that we put up, Mike, in years past, in 17, 18, and 19, 20, the trials and tribulations, if you will, that has been Lou City, the things that you have to account for, the variables, if you will, that came out. Head coaching change twice now, obviously with James O'Connor to John Hackworth to Danny Cruz. Twice that's happened. Some of those stints included the triumvirate stepping up and being in charge. And that was through league games, Open Cup. There are going to be slumps. There are going to be peaks. You are going to hit highs and lows every single season. It's the way that you respond to it long term. You don't want a knee-jerk reaction, right? And so what ends up happening in a lot of these situations is people see one game, they see one performance, maybe even 2 or 3, and they hit the panic button. This organization does not. And so that's why you lean on the players, because the recruitment, and they talk about culture, the players you bring in here, This is one of those reasons. How good can they be when their back's up against it?
Header skies high at the crossbar. That was a vivified corner kick. Danny Cruz very matter-of-factly told us this week there is zero panic. Following up saying we had a tremendous week of training.
And the only time as a head coach that I might argue that phrase is that there is no panic is if you're approaching the end of the season. If you're hitting the end of the year when you're supposed to be either playing at your highest level, reeling hitting form, or you're at a pretty decent level. You know, you've seen some great results in games past, but maybe right now you're not at a 10, but you're hovering at 8. If you're dropping at the end of the year, that's when you can have some cause for concern if you're the manager. But where you're sitting right now, given how early it is in the season, given the fact that you've dealt with it in the past, there was literally no reason whatsoever to move that needle.
Throw here from Memphis. We're excited not just because they beat Indy 11, a statement game for them, but the circumstances in which they've done it. This will roll into the middle. Salazar rolls out here to Reynolds. Guitar.
This is the balance that Ben Pierman's going to be looking for from his team. With all the speed that they have, they're going to have to find a way on a more regular basis to break teams down in smaller spaces. Louisville know that. Danny Cruz was very well aware of the strong suits of this squad, and you're getting a good look at it right now. A lot of respect by Louisville City in terms of space they're not willing to give up. Ball gets turned over. They drop back a little bit deeper than normal. Now this team is still going to press, Louisville. Home squad, fans behind you, opportunity to have a sold-out crowd. The last thing you want is for this game to really open up defensively if you're Lou City, because as it does, that means more chasing. That means the opportunity for guys like Atua Henny, Kyle Murphy, Laurent Kisiadu to chase you down into the channels and be successful.
Jonathan Gomez throws, just returned from the Mexican full national team camp in the lead up to the Nations League semifinal and final. Devin, we were speaking with Danny Cruz about it, and he said Jonathan Gomez doesn't get starstruck, to his credit, but you are going up against Andres Guardado, who's captained that side so many times. Whether you're facing an Uriel Antuna, but much more often Chucky Lozano. Whoa.
Yeah, Hector Herrera running down through the middle, cutting across, right? I mean,
yep.
Big time names. And, you know, you extend further than that, Mike, and we've actually seen this out west within the Galaxy program.
Yep.
A player that has had the opportunity for both nations, Mexico and the United States, to rep at the youth national team level. That comes with a lot of pressure, especially getting a chance to be called into the senior camp. The constant pressure can really cloud judgment, and Danny Cruz talked about that. That was not an issue whatsoever for Jogo. The fact that it was his first time in senior camp, he was just more about trying to get better every single time he steps onto the field. He said, I've even heard you guys, so have the players, talk about some of his performances in past, and yet the game finishes, he's at my door trying to find a way to break down tape and get better every time he steps onto the field.
Ball rolled back by Reynolds and cleared away by Carroll. Any commentary on Gomez has to go back to the fact he's still a teenager. Here's Gomez on the ball. Head on a swivel. Lines the cross. Skitters to the back post. Ownby collects now. Squares over Holpino. An overload on the right-hand side. Holpino at war here with Reynolds.
That's well done defensively by Andre Reynolds, though. This will be a fun matchup on this flank in general, yet alone the fact that Opino's come all the way back over.
Folks, the USL is committed to supporting the LGBTQ plus community through the Forever Proud Project. The USL will strive to create safe and welcoming environments for all fans, players, employees, and partners. Learn more at uslsoccer.com/forever-proud. can see the banner behind the goal there on the Estopanol end to that effect during this Pride Month. Gomez read that effectively, but did it get his arm? It did. A lot of eyes on Laurent Kisiadou, huh? Revelation, big word. High expectation.
Remember him?
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta United too, and prior to the departure of Frank DeBoer, Stephen Glass there, he was having some high praise for that young man. The way that they were able to utilize him in so many different fashions within that system is definitely what caught the eye of Ben Pierman.
Attack on here for Memphis, entering the penalty area. This ball sliced all the way through. Dangerous to be sure.
Recognize the fact that the speed I reference in transition for this team doesn't necessarily have to be with real estate out in front of you running. All you need is an opportunity to challenge someone in a one-on-one situation and then a quick little interchange, right? So it's change of pace, change of direction. Salazar gets that out of Wes Sharpie. For Sharpie, he's got to be oh so careful as well. When you watch the space move forward, he's got to account for the space on the overlapping run on the left side. He's got space in the middle and still the runner in front of him. It's a three-pronged attack, even though you've got one guy you're marking.
Atuahene. Well, this is a made-for-TV moment. All those placards going up here. Devin, it's a day Brad Estes, the team president, tweeted about it for the front office and for the people who built this stadium, the fans that have been here since Slugger Field and into this stadium over the past 12 months. This was a dream once upon a time, and to some, I'm sure, a pipe dream, and here it is.
The reality playing out right in front of our eyes for sure, right? And
a little bit warm, I suppose.
I think the gentleman right there in the front is confused as to which color he's supposed to be showing. But it goes back to, for me, Mike, some of the comments that he's had in past. A lot of comments, to be fair. It's about individuals that have come in and out in the front office, on the coaching staff, players. The mentality is always about blue collar, we know, but organization first. And that organization is geared towards these great fans in this fantastic city, regardless of if Mark Seggers is trying to spoil that party or not.
Referee showing a vivify yellow card to Mark Segbers, his first yellow of the year.
And that hard work is going to have to be something for Segbers that's going to be busy all night long. Really well done by Del Piccolo. A change of pace for one side coming to fruition for the other. Midfielder sliding out of the pocket, trying to get around Mark Segbers, who, if you talk to most managers around this league, probably doesn't get enough credit. High praise for Mark Segbers. Some of them saying might be one of the best outside backs in the entire league. Here's an opportunity for him to prove it.
2020 at Kansas City, 2019 at Orange County. 9th overall pick in the MLS Super Draft in 2018. High arcing free kick, and, well, Burner with the shade. No problem. John Burner sat all of 2019 rehabilitating an injury. But if you look at it, he's only started now 6 games over the last 4+ years. 30-year-old getting a chance to be the guy right now in Memphis. And nothing so far to make you think he's not up to the task.
No, especially not in this season. He's had to deal with his fair share as well. Maybe got a little bit lucky last time out against Indy 11. Little kiss off the post that may or may not have crossed the goal line. The team's willing to concede that, but still had a great result.
Ball sliced across and out here by Skylar Thomas. To your point, Devin, I led with Ben Pierman in our conversation this week. So the ball that went off the crossbar and bounced down, you think that was over the line? He goes, of course it was. Yeah. And to be fair, they had earned a bounce at some point.
I always put myself on mute, and I had to get in there. I had to laugh. I was like, absolutely it was.
I was just trying to give a benefit of the doubt here.
But credit to him, he didn't shy away from it. He talked about using that as a motivating factor within his team and saying, listen, guys, we got lucky here. We got away with one. We understood that. Don't let Lady Luck, jump out a second time. We got to take control of our own destiny in this match.
Ownby, a lot of green space, rolls to Bone. That touch seemed a bit out of sorts, but it may have given him even more space. Del Piccolo settles. Del Piccolo curls and misfires. Burner a bit crossed up.
This is something to keep an eye on, though, because Lou City is very fortunate to get a strike off here. Corbin Bone, watch the late run by Jonathan Gomez. In the opening 20 minutes here, they've struggled, Louisville City, but it's on purpose. They're calculated in their movements going forward because they're paying a lot of respect to Memphis 901 FC in that counterattack. So you have to be wary if you're moving forward. In Del Piccolo, Corbin Bone, and especially the front three, you have to watch the rotation. As someone pinches in one area, you're going to have to supplement in others because you're not always going to have those late trailing runs in this first half the way the game is playing out.
This portion of tonight's game is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Kissiadu goes down. Paul puts it in play. Skylar Thomas. That's a good false step to create a bit of space. The turn from Kyle Murphy, he's denied. It's a bit misleading to say, well, Kyle Murphy's never scored against Louisville City. He hasn't had that many chances. A lot of his career in the Western Conference. 2 double-digit scoring seasons, 1 at RGV. Whoa there, partner. That get back into the field? That may have been a perfect throw. Anywho, great season at RGV and a great season at Loudoun, too.
And most people waiting for that 2016 season specifically within RGV to come back, and would say that he was very good at Loudoun. Probably had to carry more of the load than necessary, but very young within that organization. Ryan Martin, he did a great job doing so, providing that mentor.
Del Piccolo! Forcing Burner to dive the other way. Paolo seems intent on opening the scoring account in front of a full house.
Take what they give you as well, and talked about the buildup a second ago. If you're not going to go quick in transition, but they are going to concede space to you, you just have to find other options. Kyle Gregg provides you a different option. Cameron Lancaster will drop deep into the pocket. Kyle Gregg will hold the driving force up top. You can play off of him a bit more, and his ability to hold up and let secondary runs coming through in the forms of Paolo Del Piccolo could prove quite fruitful in this match.
So Ownby is shown a yellow card at this point. It's just his 3rd game, in part because of a 2-game suspension holding him out for a point in time, a Vivify yellow card. Between the yellows to Ownby and Segbers, do you feel maybe that's a bit strong at the outset, given the nature of the 2 fouls?
Absolutely, and you're getting the same thing from the sideline as well. Ben Pierman had a word, Danny Cruz having a little go. The way this is going to turn out, or the way that they hope it turns out, is probably better said, Mike, is that you just continue in this fashion. If you're going to call it tight, the players will start to back off. They're going to understand that the little push, the tug, the strong tackle, they're not going to be able to get away with 1, 2, or even 3. You know, that initial one is going to be a cause for concern for this referee. And so you're going to tailor your expectations a little bit. Just back off, pay a little bit of respect, and, you know, you're going to walk a fine line on that law book. That's okay as long as it goes on.
Devin, when you were playing center back and the guy next to you got a yellow card, did you even think about it?
Oh, no.
No.
No, I was trying to figure out how to get thrown out so I could up him one.
Okay.
But no, never. You know, we sit up here. It is funny, right? We sit up here and, you know, 23 minutes into the match, we've seen 2 yellows. The 16th minute, the outside back, and the way that they attack 901 FC, Mark Segbers gets his. You want to wonder how much that could be an issue. As a player this early on, you're not thinking about it.
Gomez continues. Got tied up a little bit on the tail end by Segbers.
That seed of doubt, Mike, is what gets you into trouble. That seed of doubt is where you start to cloud your judgment, second guessing when you should make a tackle. Then you start to stutter. Then you start to wonder, should I go this way or that? Should I pass the player? Should I get stuck in here? And then all of that starts to funnel into the rest of your team.
Poor Chris Scherfranz, the fourth official tonight.
I mean, to be fair, whether he started off strong or not, those are two pretty spirited individuals on the sideline.
Yes, Greg Dopka is the referee this evening. By the way, an update on a couple of players for Memphis. Dominic Odoro is available today. Breck Evans is available for the first time since opening night. Kadeem Dakers is available off the bench. Former Lou City player Raul Gonzalez is back as well. For Louisville City, Cameron Lancaster was dealing with a hamstring, is available to play tonight, still without Oscar Jimenez and others. Ownby drives, the cutback, Ownby delivers, and Burner down to his knees, caught it right in the basket.
One of the issues that 901 FC is running into is their central midfielders, Leston Paul, Mitch Guitar, are chasing a lot here because there is so much pressure being applied by the likes of Del Piccolo and Corbin Bone. And though 901 FC may be known for their transitions, we all know, do not sleep on guys like Brian Ownby and Antoine Opino. Ownby would have liked this to have ended up on his strong foot on the right, but the good cutback inside did have support, but he wants to build that confidence. Great transitional movement by Lou City.
By the way, an injury note for Louisville. Jorge Gonzalez may well be available sooner than later. Player that makes you sit right on the edge of your seat. McMahon told Gonzalez was available for selection today for the first time coming off an injury in preseason, but did not make the 18. Gibson. Devin, you and I heard both these coaches. Ben Pierman told us, you know, we were probably down to 10.5 field players last time out, and some guys from the academy getting a chance to either reach the bench or suit up and play against Indy. For Louisville, this is really the first time they've had to find 18 out of 20 or 21, 22 guys.
For Pierman, and I'm not going to name the team out of respect for the coach and their trust, but I can remember a time in the 2019 season where a team in the Eastern Conference was so low on players, they actually fielded, in the sense of a roster, hurt players just so that they had enough bodies on the bench. And that's how thin this team was getting, 901 FC. Ben Pierman very fortunate that they didn't have to go that direction.
This portion of tonight's game is brought to you by Georgia's Sweet Potato Pie Company, winner of Louisville City's minority-owned Business of the Month. Devin and I can't wait for the samples. Bone cuts this through. Del Piccolo. Pop out the other side. Holpino swings the cross short of Ownby. Ownby collects. Touching through. Continues under pressure. Play allowed to continue. Francis Atuahene, once upon a time really highly thought after in the FC Dallas organization, went on loan a handful of times and often looked the part. But at this point in time, into Memphis and looking to recapture that level of expectation at the age of 25. Loans to Oklahoma City, Austin, San Diego, last few years.
Pierman's going to be very familiar with Atuahene due to his time as the assistant coach under Damon Rensing at Michigan State. Of course, Atuahene played for Shaka Daly at University of Michigan Wolverines.
So he was probably cursing Atuahene until he had him on his team.
The battles that those teams went back and forth with on each other.
Bagged 24 goals for the Michigan Wolverines over the years.
Wide open the way that those teams play as well. Super fun to watch Atuahene at the college level. And he's just looking for, to be honest, Mike, he needs regular repetitions.
Yep.
You know, people don't understand what it's like for a player when you're signed to one team, bouncing around on loans. It's not just step up and play. That's what we look for, of course, but it's travel, the chemistry. What does that look like within the locker room? Systems, coaches, a lot of personalities at play. To find a home is one of the hardest things to do, yet alone when you're on loan with a team.
Hopino. Referee had a long look again. For what it's worth, this is Atuahene's 35th career professional game. And this is his 4th year out of Michigan. One wonders how different his career path could have been if perhaps North Texas existed at that point in time as an outlet to keep him in the system and develop him within the Dallas organization. Excellent diagonal ball. Del Piccolo trying to combine. Gomez. Those placards were meant for a photo op. It turns out they're great for shading fans. Hopino once more. Hard step by Salazar. Highly thought of in his own right. Into the Belize national team. Second round pick of Montreal, 2016.
30 minutes into this match, it's tactically playing out very well for Louisville City. They have pretty much pushed 901 FC into their strongest area of play with Atuahene and Laurent Kissiadou on the outside wings. The problem is they're the distributing factors. Everything goes into their feet, and they're trying to find space from them when it should be the other way around. They're trying to get through Leston Paul, Mitch Guitar. And I talked about the inability around the 25th minute mark to find their two central midfielders. Both of them, 8 touches on the ball 30 minutes into a game. That doesn't bode well for a team on the road when you literally have eliminated the middle of the field for them.
And to some extent, this is a long road swing for Memphis to start. This is their 5th straight road game. They'll finally get home for a 3-match homestand: Atlanta, Oklahoma City, and Kansas City too. He said, the defense we feel like we're getting around on. Offensively, let's do what we need to do and then get home and get it really truly figured out. Bit of a collision there, Del Piccolo. Del Piccolo plays it through. Hopino! One strong hand from Burner. Pops it into the air and collects.
Antoine Hopino just wishing he had this first touchback because it escapes him a little bit. Great pressure once again by Louisville City. All the bodies in the middle of the box. First touch comes across his body, actually bounces off the right foot as well. Then unless you've worn the hat, as they would say for John Burner, it's really difficult to understand how hard of a save that was. It's not just the transitional movement or the traffic in front of you, but looking into the sun, hence the one-handed save. You just want to get it up, get something on it, and collect your thoughts. Burner able to do just that.
Devin, I'd be wearing a football helmet if I were in that position, visor and all. Bone here on a 93-degree night in Louisville. Tosh.
He's working on his golf game, Sean Tosh. That's a little chili dipper from 135 out. It's like Tosh, Niall McCabe, Oscar Jimenez. Those are the 3 that are pretty much on the course together, right?
I would hope so.
Threw together a couple quality pieces in the off-season and COVID era where some behind-the-scenes challenges. Ben Holzman was kind enough to video some of that. I believe it was him on the course with him.
Kyle Murphy in an offside position was getting trounced from behind by Tosh. And I don't know if anyone's happier about this than the referee. Hydration break. 93 degrees. Humidity is 46%. The wind is negligible. And Burner does not get the benefit that Hubbard gets on the other end, with the scoreboard casting a large shadow. Let's take a look at what the march looked like to the match. The Coopers have arrived. Grand opening festivities here tonight for the first game with 100% capacity. There are the Ledgehogs making their way in alongside the Coopers. Scouse' house. Ben Soley performed the national anthem. Pre-game $3 draft beers, that'll always excite. Pyrotechnics, fireworks, flyovers, post-game parties, DJ K-Dog's doing the business. Did I miss anything, Devin?
Yeah, the pizza shop post-game. How do we get our hands on some of that?
At this point, we've asked for sweet potato pie, all the sponsors relating to liquor, and the post-game pizza. I don't know what else you want here, Dev.
You would think that the lack of response would give us a little hint, but still keep pushing. Don't ask, don't receive.
Devin, I'm where you were a couple of years ago. There's still a few more pounds to drop before the wedding bells here, pal. Slow it down. Devin, you and I got to walk around this joint before it opened, and we got a basic idea of what this was going to look like. And in speaking with people who've been in this venue now since it has opened, the suite level, the club level, being able to go sit upstairs underneath the awning, the miniature pitch outside, a massive scoreboard, light shows. I mean, you get the feeling that you have aspirations for a venue, but once you move into it, you really make it your own. And it's been pretty remarkable watching that play out over the last 12 months.
The traditions that were Lou City, Slugger Field, some of those carry over. New traditions are going to be acquired as time goes on. You know, the thought of what you want your organization to be within the USL Championship. This is it. The standard is right in front of you, Louisville City. You know, the play on the field is what everybody talked about. Then you talk about what can the representation be in the front office. Then as people, in the community, the stadium. They've exceeded the standard.
Yep.
Right? So what they put forth previously, that precedent has already been broken down. You know, they're moving miles down the road and everybody else is chasing. And I mean that in a good way. Teams are taking a look and trying to find a way in their own manner to replicate the model that has been put in front of them. This is what the country needs at every level. Lou City is the standard in USL Championship, and there are plenty of other teams that are along for the ride as well, following suit.
Meanwhile, Devin, Ben Pierman was well aware this is grand opening, well aware that Louisville had lost 2 in a row. He said, we're going to try and ruin it.
Yeah, they want to spoil the party just like Pittsburgh Riverhounds did.
So far, how has that gone?
Not very well. The problem is
Sharpie, boy.
That could have been a problem right there.
A little pressure there from Kyle Murphy.
I've talked about it a little bit, and it's defensively this team will sit and they will absorb pressure, but that's not what they're all about. They can press well. The problem that you get into if you're 901 FC is if you push your line too high and try and press the likes of Tosh, Wes Sharpie, coming off the back line. They're really good at finding the special moments of the overlapping run of McMahon or Gomez. They find the outlet ball through their 6s and 8s, and specifically Tosh. With the departure of Speedy Williams, if you watch him play, and you've seen it 3 times so far, he's more than happy to distribute 5-10 yards in front of him. His ability to knock a long ball was probably understated because of the fact that Speedy Williams was in front of him. If you watch Sean Tosh, who wears the 4, he's knocking a lot of long balls out tonight. So as you step on the offensive side for 901 FC, you got to watch the long ball up over the top because that's where they get you. It isolates your team. You spread yourselves out thin, trying to pressure them into a decision, and the decision you pressure them into actually bodes the home team better.
Bone for Louisville. Gibson did well to slow that run from Memphis the other way off the clearance. McMahon wasn't going to find Del Piccolo. Good coverage. How about Omby? Will be a Louisville corner. 38th minute. Vivify corner kick to come. Brian Omby, drafted by Houston, time in Richmond, Pittsburgh, Virginia native who won College Cup with the University of Virginia. All the while, George Gelnovach's son is a goalkeeper who's unavailable on the night for Memphis. Ball driven across to the back post. That's away by Berner. Header steered forward. I mentioned that in part because Jake Gelnovach helped lead the University of Louisville to an ACC men's soccer title back in 2018. You and I had that game.
A good opportunity to see him. That was a Ken Lola era.
Yeah, sure was.
Part of his departure. Helped build that program for sure, ground up. That's what Ben Pierman is trying to continue forth here with the organization that's still searching for a bit of an identity, Mike, 901 FC.
And last year, you and I spoke to Tim Mulqueen. He said, we're going to go with the Red Bull model. That's the direction that we want to go. Didn't make it through the season. Threaded ball ahead. Murphy got the shot away, and Hubbard parries it out. And now ripped over the line by McMahon. That's the first really good opportunity by Memphis, and it is a carbon copy of your description.
Yeah, just watch their ability to distribute out of the back end. So they want to have balance, but they want to unbalance you. In the same manner that Louisville City does, they just do it in a quicker fashion. So as it comes off over the back, watch how quick they go. Fast decision making. You isolate the space, but then you have to strike quickly, Mike, while the iron is hot. You go 3 balls, back line, right mid, striker and Kyle Murphy, and you've gone 80 yards to try and find a goal. That's where they're at their best.
Corner Memphis. Murphy found the header and puts it over the crossbar. For the W, the USL recently announced the formation of the USLW League, providing increased equity and opportunity for women looking to pursue careers in soccer both on and off the pitch. Comprised of clubs from across the Championship, League One, League Two, and new expansion markets, the W League is set to begin play in 2022. More than 30 communities across the United States. Head over to USLWleague.com to learn more. Spoke to Betsy Haw on USL All Access this week. That paragraph read is coming up in the second half, right, Devin?
There you go.
The director of operations for women's soccer at USL. The W League was a staple for a long time. It's not really a competitor to Racing Louisville. It's a pre-professional pathway. Del Piccolo rolls this ahead. Gomez. Clearance scuffed a bit by Reynolds. Kept alive by Ownby. Ownby floats. That's away by Thomas. Kissiadu. Unable to get any further. Anywho, Betsy Haw, really intriguing conversation worth going back if you have the Sirius XM app. Floated ball ahead. Reynolds was able to keep that away. Ownby curling. Think back to that curling shot against New England Revolution in the Open Cup a couple of years ago. As I would call it, a true voice cracker. Ownby having a go. For Memphis, only 4 players from the last meeting between these sides, September the 19th, which was days after Ben Pierman was named the interim coach for Memphis, are still available and on the roster. Murphy, who was with Tampa Bay at the time, didn't feature in the Eastern Conference Final against Louisville. Service here is a bit short of Salazar. Heavy collision, and there was an attempt to play advantage, but Greg wasn't able to latch on. You think about Memphis, Louisville started February 1st. I mean, they were among, if not the first team back in training camp. Memphis didn't get together for the first time till the middle of April. And you and I just spoke with Harry Watling at Hartford, same deal. Yeah. April 13th, 14th, he came over from England. Those teams theoretically are at a pretty significant disadvantage. Holpino leading Del Piccolo, back to Holpino. Openo went down, appeared to lose his footing. This will skitter back out.
That's the first touch again for Antoine Openo that is going to get him in trouble. Beautiful build-up by Louisville City once again. The display in the first half to the tune of 9 shots, 3 of them have which hit the target. John Berner has stepped up to help out, but watch the little 1-2 as you get into the tight space here, Mike. His touch right here, it's got to be better. Simple enough. Del Piccolo's given him enough opportunity to make a play on this ball. You do one of two things. You have a better first touch that sets you up, or you stutter your run just a tiny touch and you can take it on the first hit. It's sort of been the MO for Louisville City over the past couple of games. Can build, just can't finish.
Tuaheni had a great first touch, but couldn't comb it by Tosh. And at some point, you expect that to even out.
Absolutely. It's just kind of one of those things. You're approaching the 45th minute mark. I just said it. 9 shots, 3 on target. You're controlling the tempo of the game. You've got the brunt of the possession. You are literally dictating 95% of the way this match is going, but you don't have anything to show for it. It doesn't matter if you control all of that. 901 FC pick one off and win 1-0. That's all that matters to Ben Pierman.
Kisiadu to take the corner. He said if we can get their possession from 60-65 down to 50-55, that'd be big difference. Said they'd really suffer if they had to go 65-35 possession in this game. It's largely played out that way.
No, it's spot on statistically right where we're at, by the way. Looking at the numbers coming out from Opta, and you can see it, though. These coaches do their prep. They know exactly what's at play. You know, he understands that coming into a match, and this isn't just for Ben Pierman, this is for any coach, you're always going to have to lose somewhere. How do you pick the lesser of all evils? And that's one of his, right? He understands that they can't press as much as they would like to. Not that they're a full pressing team, but they did very well unbalancing Indy 11 in that fashion. So they might not be able to press as much as they did last game, but the possession, if we can just nip back a little bit here and there, we can be just fine. Just struggling a little bit here in the first half.
Driving ahead, Sharpie dispossesses. Kisiadu led the way. Stoppage time is presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. Referees adding 2 minutes to the first half. A shuffle inside. This will roll back here for Reynolds. Bodies flying all over the place. This is picked up by a Tuaheni. Tosh. Of note, by the way, you'll notice that the Danish flag is indeed behind the goal after the just tragic situation that occurred. Offside flag goes up here at the Euros today between Finland and Denmark. Christian Eriksen going down and ultimately being taken to the hospital, is since stabilized, but credit to the folks at Scouse's house. There's a Tottenham Hotspur flag back there too.
Class.
As well as that Danish flag.
It's coming from a pretty heavy supporters group that love to follow suit for the Never Walk Alone in Liverpool. So for them to step up, that shows you their respect for the game and how things can always be bigger than what's just the 90 minutes in front of you.
It's intercepted and short of Murphy. Good initial read by Bone. Maybe there's something here at the end of the half for Louisville. McMahon got that out from under his feet, looking for Omby, slid away by Andre Reynolds. And that takes us to halftime. Devin, big crowd, heightened expectations, and while it is scoreless at halftime, Memphis can feel like you can go to the locker room and try and figure this thing out, and if you're Louisville, you feel like you own that half.
Groundhog Day a little bit for Louisville City, and the fact that though they did lose against Atlanta United 2, they were the better team. They had a tremendous amount of opportunities, just got to finish, and that comes to just closing down your mindset. Do the simple things when you get into the final third, and they'll be just fine. 901 FC just needs to figure out when they move forward, where are those attacking options going to come from. If Salazar or Murphy drops, they need help and support. It's been isolated situations for one man. They need a 2- and 3-man game in transition to be successful.
Devin, what are the words you'd use to describe halftime?
Probably craziness, insanity, confusion.
Fair enough. We'll see if we can put that together for you. Serve Pro halftime is coming up. Louisville City and about 15,000 of their closest friends. Memphis getting the job done on the road. Scoreless at the break.
If you're deciding between a Toyota or a Honda, you gotta run the numbers. This stylish Corolla beats Honda Civic with 169 horsepower. Corolla Hybrid crushes Civic at 52 miles per gallon. And with 4 exciting Camrys, including a road-gripping all-wheel drive, which you can't even get on a Honda Accord, it's no wonder Camry is #1. Now when you run the numbers, get $1,000 customer cash on any new 21 Corolla or a 21 Camry. Or get a great affordable lease on Camry. Toyota, let's go places.
You know, interest rates are still low.
That's low. Like really low.
Exactly. Which means your dream of buying a house might finally come true. A house you can wake up in each morning, raise your family in, improve as you go, or even build from scratch. So whether it's your first house or your dream house, let's make it home with full home lending from Commonwealth Credit Union. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
After hours start with 10 o'clock big.
Louisville in the morning. Get every angle covered. Wake up to WDRB News, the source.
Welcome back to grand opening night at Lynn Family Stadium. Memphis and Louisville at halftime, which is brought to you by Serve Pro. Anytime you try and figure out all the highlights from last week, the best way to do it is the dish. And you know, when I hear Devin do the dish, I feel craziness, insanity, and confusion. Here we go.
Week 8 of the dish is upon us. You know what that means. Craziness, insanity, confusion, and this is what happens when you give the ball to Zico Lewis. Apologies necessary. Downright rude on the back post. Charleston Battery failing to get the victory. No, that's not the case. That's Burke failing on the back post. 73rd minute assist from Zico Lewis. Charleston Battery get their first win of the season. Only team in the modern era of the USL Championship to hit the playoffs every single year. A little bit early for that. Let's fast forward and talk to the end of this season, but right now we're going to go to Atlanta United 2, Sporting Kansas City 2. 2v2. This is 1v1. This is Enoch Mushagalusa. Another apology, please. Top corner. This kid's something special. And what you are going to see, by the way, is 4 goals in the span of 13 minutes. But we're going to go back and forth because I got this bad guy in town, and that is Whoa. Bradley Canham Faywell, also shortening his name like Prince. He just goes by Bradley Canham. Doesn't matter. Back in the net. We're at 1-1. But as I mentioned, Mushagalusa is a bad boy. Western Conference wonder Amadou Dia, signed by Sporting Kansas City, gets an opportunity to play for the 2 team. That's what he's all about. Peter Vermeer wants his team to help out. Amadou Dia, good ball into the backside. Mushagalusa goes to work again. So now it's 2v1. These teams have been pretty impressive recently. So what are we going to do? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Foomf. Back of the net. Well, Foomf will be 5. This is 4. Coleman Gannon pushed them into the second spot in the Central. Atlanta United 2 doing wondrous things. Sporting Kansas City 2 results in 4 out of the last 5. 3 draws. That equals 1 win. Math doesn't add up for me. We all know I can't add. And this is one of the teams that I want you to keep your eye on because nobody talks about El Paso Locomotive, nor do they do it on a regular basis. Expansion year, sophomore slump, no. They go back-to-back Western Conference, finalists, don't get the championship, but an opportunity once again to go East versus West, and the West is just the way it's won right now. 9-hole, right? Little kiss off the corner. Got to call your shot, don't you? Maka King, little touch to Luna. The West, past week, 3 wins against the Eastern Conference. Highlights, stats, no dessert. After dinner, drinks for sure. We'll see you around the corner. Week 8 of the dish. Peace.
Tiello's there again. Second header.
Here's a chance for Cicerone. Russell Cicerone, the leading goal scorer.
Since the beginning of this worldwide crisis, Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport has been flying essential travelers across the country and around the world. We want all travelers to know that we have implemented processes and procedures to ensure your health and safety. We have nonstop flights to over 30 destinations nationwide and easy connections to hundreds more around the globe. When you need to fly, fly Louisville.
Are you hungry? You should get yourself down to Four Pegs in Germantown. Try some of their delicious smoked brisket, ribs, and wings. We source only the freshest ingredients. And check out our massive beer selection. Join us Saturday and Sunday for our most awesome brunch. Smoked Bloody Marys, ribs, and eggs. And come hang out on our newly remodeled patio. Check us out on social media or at fourpegs.net.
Summer's the time to get away. And when you run the numbers, you'll discover why Toyota SUVs are #1. Like the #1 selling SUV, Toyota RAV4, or this Highlander, with your choice of a powerful V6 or a best-in-class hybrid. Now when you run the numbers, get $750 customer cash on any new 21 Highlander, or 2.9 financing. Get $750 customer cash on RAV4, or a low $209 a month lease, with 2 years no-cost maintenance included. Run the numbers and save. Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome back to Lynn Family Stadium, and can you beat that sunset? Louisville and Memphis scoreless at halftime. Halftime brought to you by Serve Pro. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, plenty to catch up on around the league that Devin couldn't even get to in the dish. We begin with news and notes, and the USLW League will launch in May 2022. Go to uslwleague.com for more information. Deserved for Santi Moar. He's been tremendous.
100%. Recognize the game that they play tonight, hosting Tacoma Defiance. He has scored 7 games running if you date back to the 2020 season, 6 to start off 2021. If he scores tonight, that's 8. You know who holds the record? Haji Berry, Swope Park Rangers, 2018. Not so bad. Pittsburgh, Indy. Remember that game last year? Indy, magnificent performance at home, and then Tyler Pasher had to do Tyler Pasher things on the road. What was he? He was rude. 1-0.
And these teams are sitting here going, ooh, a draw would sound nice. Here's the scoreboard around the USL Championship coming into this point. Charleston and New York are currently in a flood delay, lightning delay.
Something.
Pittsburgh and Miami 1-1 in the 64th minute. We both had our eyes on that game.
Rowdy's coming back, Loudoun United. It's got to show something for Neil Collins that not only did they lose last week, they give up an early goal, and have the character to bounce back and get a victory. Las Vegas Lights, by the way, 2 games in a row. They got their first win, and now a draw against San Antonio. Not too bad.
Chirundolo's got that turn the right direction. Here's the upcoming schedule. It's sponsored by CoSare Charities. Help a child in our community now at CoSare.org/donate. Dev, you and I have Charlotte Hartford tomorrow.
And no disrespect to any other game, because I think people are going to look at Louisville and Birmingham. People are going to look at Indy Pitt, Atlanta United 2 in their form, rightfully so. That game tomorrow that we're going to be on, Charlotte Independence, Hartford Athletic, that's a standard setter for me. The fact that Hartford Athletic has started strong but not necessarily got results against Gray's teams. Charlotte Independence coming off that 1-0 victory against the Tampa Bay Rowdies to knock them off their 5-game unbeaten start. Right there, the team that wins that game is saying, hey, we belong with some of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. It should be a great match.
Yeah, good one in Yield Atlantic Division. Scoreless here in the Central between Louisville and Memphis. First half highlights. We'll kick off the second half when we return.
Since the beginning of this worldwide crisis, Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport has been flying essential travelers across the country and around the world. We want all travelers to know that we have implemented processes and procedures to ensure your health and safety. We have nonstop flights to over 30 destinations nationwide and easy connections to hundreds more around the globe. When you need to fly, fly Louisville.
Summer's the time to get away. And when you run the numbers, you'll discover why Toyota SUVs are #1. Like the #1 selling SUV, Toyota RAV4, or this Highlander, with your choice of a powerful V6 or a best-in-class hybrid. Now when you run the numbers, get $750 customer cash on any new 21 Highlander, or 2.9 financing. Get $750 customer cash on RAV4, or a great affordable lease on RAV4, with 2 years no-cost maintenance included. Run the numbers and save. Toyota, let's go places.
Push, 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 and relax.
One day, I just didn't feel good, and all of a sudden, I couldn't move from the neck down. It's crazy how fast things can change for somebody.
At an age where kids start to gain independence, he lost his.
What I have is called acute flastomyelitis. It's like a polio-like disease, and it affects your spinal cord, and it affects everybody differently, but it's mostly paralysis. For me, it was from the neck down, but for other people, it might be your right arm or just your legs.
We're blessed to have COSAIR Charities and help us with these type visits that Shane desperately needs.
Many children could not be attending therapy here if we didn't have the COSAIR Kids program.
COSAIR has lifted a huge burden from us and allowed Shane to progress the way that he has. And without that, I don't know where we would be.
To apply for assistance or to support the COSAIR Kids program, go to cosair.org/kids.
Enjoying the sunshine and fresh air can be hard for many of us. Advanced ENT and Allergy is the regional leader in upper airway care. From allergies, sinus problems, sleep apnea, hearing health, and more, our medical team treats everyone like family. Advanced ENT and Allergy offers same-day appointments, and for many, no referral is needed. Our outstanding team of physicians, along with state-of-the-art technology, can get you breathing right, sleeping well, and feeling better sooner. Go to advancedentandallergy.com for your appointment. 8 locations.
The Coopers in position. Memphis on the road trying to grab a point or more. Could this be the biggest win, perhaps in franchise history? Louisville hoping to say something very different. Serve Pro halftime continues with first half highlights. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, 19th minute. Louisville on the front foot through Paulo Del Piccolo.
I thought the movement was lacking in the opening 10 minutes, Mike, and I talked about the fact that when Del Piccolo and Corbin Bowden recognized the fact that Jonathan Gomez and Pat McMahon weren't making those advanced runs because of the fear of the counterattacking option for 901 FC, they started to react in their own manner, and they did very well off of it. They found Kyle Gregg as the target man up top. The secondary and third runs coming from Lou City have been where they've really had a tremendous amount of success in seasons past. That necessarily hasn't happened in this game, but it got better as the first half went on. Then the transitional moment started to poke its head out. This is where Lou City gets you in trouble. They show you one look, they show you a second look, and then all of a sudden, you're on 6s and 7, chasing left and right because of the fact you don't know which attacking front is coming at you. Antoine Opino had a couple great opportunities. Probably could have had 2 goals to his name, to be fair, but still, said this again around the 30th minute. Is it Groundhog Day? Doesn't matter if possession, shots on target are in your favor. Right now, 901 FC still walking out of here with a point.
Possession 63-37, which is the danger zone, all things considered. You see Kadeem Dakers there on the right. He will come on for Memphis here at halftime. Should be the only change. And Francis Atuahene has come off. Let's take a look at today's nuggets of the match. They're brought to you by Chick-fil-A Kentuckiana. Titles in 2017 and 18, only back-to-back champions. And the boys in purple back to the final in 2019. Only club to reach 3 straight finals, 2 straight finals. Swole Park Rangers also did that. Get all that, Dev?
I got my notebook out. I wrote it down.
Okay. Here we go, second half. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr in Louisville, Kentucky, the Butchertown neighborhood. Stadium that opened a year ago, but at the time, less than half capacity. It was 75% capacity for the last home game, and it is a packed house here tonight, attendance-wise. Jonathan Gomez is down for Louisville.
Where would you go first? Would you go to hang with the supporters groups, play on the futsal pitch outside?
That ain't it.
Modelo Bar.
Oh.
And we saw the pizzas. I've even heard rumors of some tasty little concoctions floating around in the form of different flavored margaritas that may or may not be involved. I'm not really sure, but there's a lot to experience. I'm not exactly sure where I would go first.
I'm a bootlegger, Devin. I'd be showing up with my own flask. I don't have to stop at the bar.
Security might have an issue with that.
Mentioned that Dakers came on for Tuahene at halftime as Gomez is back up. That substitution brought to you by MHS Global. Kadeem Dakers, 2 years in Louisville colors. And then, of course, famously flipped sides of the river, went to Cincinnati, who at the time had John Harkes at the helm. John Harkes knew him going back to his youth days, and then into St. Louis. 3 years there, 75 games, 6 goals. Big part of a club that did reach the playoffs a season ago over Indy and Kansas City in the same group as Louisville. What do you want to see from Kyle Gregg in this second half to be more of this game, as the diagonal off the holdup from Gregg sets up Hulpino. Now Gomez, that's kicked out.
He's got to find a way to be more active, and that's not in the sense that he has to move more, Mike. He's sandwiched himself in between Zach Carroll and Skylar Thomas. There's two schools of thought, right? One, he doesn't have enough play into his feet. He doesn't have enough of a presence up top. The other part of that is he is occupying 2 center backs. So I will give him that. But for this team to be successful, you need to play off of him more. You're going to have to find a way to get him involved as an aerial threat. He's probably your #1 option for this team.
Corner here for Louisville, strikes off the post and gets out. Tosh making that harsh downhill run. Was he the one who got his head to that?
Well, apologies to Tosh here, because he takes immediate offense to my comment about possibly being the best threat from an aerial standpoint. Great little run to the near post, and they're so good from set pieces, Louisville City. They take a tremendous amount of pride within this organization. That's something that dates back all the way to James O'Connor being at the helm. Last thing they do before they depart from practice. Every single time that they're out, and it's so difficult to defend because they show you the same look, but the end product is always different. You know, they can line up the same way and give you 10 different variations of the same look. That's really difficult to defend against.
Segbers throws in here. He is part of one of those Swope Park Rangers teams that cause serious consternation for Louisville. Final in, was it 2017, 18? Bone with the nutmeg, arguing for a foul, and he's got it now. And Greg Dopka is gonna at least have a conversation, maybe more.
See the willingness for 901 FC out on this left flank with the addition of Kadeem Dakers into the equation. Laurent Kissiadou comes in front of Andre Reynolds on the left side, and when that happens, is he going to be able to tuck himself to the inside? A guy who can make his money at the 8, at the 10, 7 or 11, really didn't invert that much in the first half, especially with the option of Mark Segbers behind, and you still have the attacking option of Andre Reynolds. I actually think that it's isolated him a bit more, much like Skylar Thomas has done to himself with about 40 minutes to go. Will be sitting on a yellow card as a center back. You brought that up in the first half.
Vivify yellow card. He and Segbers are on yellows, and then Omby on a yellow for Louisville.
And so can you find a way to have a bit more of a presence on the interior? Again, they don't need to win the possession battle, Mike, but they also can't have Leston Paul and Mitch Guitar chasing for the better portion of 90 minutes and expect to be successful. It's a very difficult thing to do.
Gibson lines it right at Burner. Let's just put all our cards on the table and say that's not why Tyler Gibson's in the lineup, but it wouldn't have hurt.
You don't think he can score bangers?
I'm sure he can, but that's not why he earns his money.
No, he tried to right here. They're well taken off the chest, and notice that he waits for it to come down just off the top of the pitch. Really well timed by Tyler Gibson. And if you watch the midfield trio tonight of Tyler Gibson, Del Piccolo, and Corbin Bone, the relationship is starting to evolve within those three. The trust is getting much better, where instead of just one sitting and having a little bit of help, all three are constantly rotating. That's another issue for Paul and Guitar on the inside because the runs are coming from all different areas.
Ownby powered ahead. Head on a swivel toward Del Piccolo. That cut out. Kisidu tries to start it the other way. Go through Dakers. To go back for a moment, Gibson, you talked to the folks in Indy last year. He played every minute of the season for Indy 11. They say he runs 13, 14 kilometers a game, led the team in passes. Devin, I think I just got signed up to play drums. I don't think they recognize that I lack any and all rhythm.
Vocals then. I'll play the drums, you can be the lead vocalist. Groove Machine giving you a little love?
Nope.
I would pay to see that.
Which part?
You throwing sticks at an instrument.
I'll go back to what we said back in Cincinnati against Tampa Bay a few years ago. Is mayonnaise an instrument?
There you go. Just put Mike Watts on the ones and twos.
And look, I was there on 901 day when the brand got announced for Memphis. You and I were talking about it before we got on air, but what a great town that is. You and I have enjoyed that, the time we've spent there.
Enjoyed it so much, I wasn't invited back. No, it's a fantastic city. Gives you so many different options of things to really experience. 901 FC, just one of the more recent additions for fanatics, friends, and family members to go enjoy.
I think that's sort of the fun part, is seeing these divisions play out a little bit more, trying to plot out a weekend and get into Louisville, see the Slugger Museum, you know, find your way along the river, do the Bourbon Trail.
Well, I can tell you right now, I get texts from guys in different teams and supporters groups about which cities to visit. The same thing.
Gomez, there's Burner. These are, I think, two cities that are like-minded in theory. Not tonight, of course. For what it's worth, Cameron Lancaster is among those up and moving right now on the Louisville end, and we're getting a look at what back in the day would certainly be a grease board and has since become a tablet. Gibson.
You have to imagine that the conversation is the space that they would like him to occupy compared to Kyle Gregg, that just really hasn't found that so far in his 199th regular season appearance for Kyle Gregg.
Great effort by Reynolds to deny Ownby service. Sharpie wants this. He'll act as the fulcrum here. Free kick won by Sharpie. Time, as mentioned, in Memphis, but also Toronto, St. Louis, Jacksonville. And a third free kick to come in the 55th minute. And Lancaster, we mentioned, is available, hamstring injury, but not in the game now. This would be the edge of his range.
And this is all about Corbin Bone and whether or not he wants to go after John Burner. He's got the ability to, for sure. Still have to keep you honest with the overlapping run for Jonathan Gomez. But so many times before, this drops just right around the 6-yard box with a little redirect.
There it is, Bone. Holpino. And Burner doesn't need to shield his eyes anymore. He's got the Jumbotron behind him, and the hat has been left in the locker room. This is going to find its way out for a corner. Vivified corner kick. About 55 minutes in. Set piece is one of the phases that Ben Pierman empirically believes is a focal point of preparation. Gomez will take it. Gomez delivers. McMahon. That's going to sneak out. Devin, we're going to play Stump the Cur, I suppose. Tonight's trivia is brought to you by Tony's Break and Alignment. Who scored the first goal at Slugger Field Now that we're doing our grand opening here at Lynn Family Stadium, Kadeem Dakers is playing tonight for Memphis. Now McCabe's available off the bench. Magnus Rasmussen.
Oh, McCabe's the only player that continuously has been in the roster since 15. I still think I would lean, for some reason, I'm going with Kadeem Dakers. I feel like that's the answer.
You think that's the rub?
There's a twist to this somewhere for sure.
Greg, what a battle. Shoved off by Thomas. Referee. Well, Thomas is on a yellow. Referee pointing in Louisville's direction that this is going to be a free kick, that the battle had started outside the penalty area. So Greg wins a free kick.
And the argument here from the referee is that the movement and the foul occurs right here.
Do you agree with that?
I got to be honest, Mike, I'm not even necessarily sure this is a foul at all. And fans at home might not like that, but the fact that it's just outside the box and they're both pulling each other, there's contact for sure. And the argument from Ben Bierman, and I don't disagree, is that Kyle Gregg hooks back around.
So Thomas, I believe, just got his second yellow, no? He's walking off. It appears Memphis is down to 10. Trying to get a better look at this. He received a yellow card in the early going of this second half back in the 50th minute. And Memphis is going to be down to 10 the rest of the way. And if I'm Skylar Thomas, I'm inclined to be on his side here and on both yellows. We'll get to that in a moment. Del Piccolo strikes off the wall. Second effort, rips it across. There's the goal. And how sweet the sound at Lynn Family Stadium. It's Sharpie who opens the scoring in front of full capacity.
Restarts are the areas of concern, both positive and negative for Ben Bierman. 13 different phases for this squad. The 13th is the restarts, the dead balls. Where can they attack and where can they defend? Hard done on the defensive side on the second yellow to send him packing by Skylar Thomas. Del Piccolo, not the greatest of efforts the second time around, but a fantastic redirect where you just hold serve. Sharpie, Tosh, and the Brady bunch within the box just looking for this ball to be served in. They don't get the first option, but the second and third and fourth, I talked about those runs in the first half. Sometimes it comes off a redirect. Wes Sharpie's first goal since 2018, and most importantly, first goal in a Lou City uniform.
Well, this is his 103rd appearance in the USL Championship, and it's his first goal in this league. Sub here brought to you by MHS Global. Kyle Murphy comes off, and Memphis will go to their bench here. Breck Evans comes on. Now Reynolds comes off. Raul Gonzalez comes on. So that's subs 2 and 3 for Memphis, who are now reduced to 10 men. Vivify red card, second yellow to Skylar Thomas. There's going to be a yellow card from Greg Dopka. He's, I believe, showing that to Ben Bierman. And we're being told that it was a straight red, not a second yellow, which I'm sure Ben Bierman will, at minimum, send a note to the league office this coming week. I just spoke to Braden Cloutier. He's got 2 yellows out in Orange County. He was thinking, whoa there. Landon Donovan got a red card here a couple weeks ago. Coaches perhaps have been quick to the trigger there. The last 7, 1-0 now. Dipping ball. Gomez, Del Piccolo pushed off, Segbers. Referee thought about that for a while. There's going to be a change here for Louisville. That's going to be the end of the night for Kyle Gregg, who had a 6-shot, 3-shot on goal performance against Atlanta. Cameron Lancaster will come on. He didn't make the trip, a hamstring injury. Sub brought to you by MHS Global, Above and Beyond. And Niall McCabe is set to come on. It appeared there that it was indeed Gregg will come off, Holpino as well. So McCabe will replace Holpino. Sub brought to you by MHS Global, Above and Beyond. Next few minutes are going to be vital for Memphis. Omby. Onby. Tightly followed by Gonzalez. Onby looking for McCabe. Dev, you want to get back to the trivia question?
Tell me.
All right. Tonight's trivia is brought to you by Tony's Break and Alignment. First goal at Slugger was Magnus Rasmussen.
I had a strange feeling with that little pep in your step and your voice that I was wrong.
I was ready to roll, Chief.
Final score of that game?
2-0. Charlie Adams scored the other.
Now employing his trade in the Western Conference.
Kisiadu trying to create something. Memphis will play with 10 after the red card to Skylar Thomas. Gibson. Gomez. Devin, I think back to this, and this is not the reason Ben Pierman does it, but I was intrigued by the conversation you had with him about the challenge of playing 12 v 11 and trying to figure out how to mark appropriately. That is not why they do this.
No, by any means, but it does give you an advantage in these situations.
It does.
And basically, Pierman broke it down into the fact that this looks very different in different areas of the field, and so he breaks the game down into 12 different areas. Having the ball, not having the ball, and whether you're turning the ball over or another team is turning the ball over, then offensive, middle, and defensive. So that's 12 different phases, right? And then from there, he feels like restarts, we just talked about that they have the biggest amount of impact on a game, so much so that he actually gives his scout team of sorts, the team that's setting up for his team in the opposition on the weekend, an extra man to play through. So his first teamers are regularly playing against one more on the field, chasing an extra player, accounting for the extra runner. They're going to understand what's at stake right now because every single week they train against it.
Subs brought to you by MHS Global. Rashawn Dolly will come in. Initially came in on loan from FC Cincinnati to Memphis. Michael Salazar Jr. comes off. Mitch Guitar has come off as well for Memphis here, as they go through all 5 of their subs now with 25 minutes to go, seeking an answer here. Dre Fortune also came on at the last stop, and Fortune has lost the ball here through Tosh. Del Piccolo playing Omby. Omby trotting. Lancaster. Lancaster went down, a penalty. Louisville can make it 2 in the 67th.
I told you they were looking for some sort of presence up top in the 9 position. That's in transitional movements. That's Lancaster dropping down into the pocket, but that's also the individual brilliance of Cameron Lancaster to recognize the space that's available out onto the wing. A lot of strikers would try and crash this party as Brian Ownby cuts in. That's not the case. Well done by Lancaster. Get in an isolated 1v1 situation. And the second that he does that, he owns you, Mike, because he has the option. Continue the run to the byline, cut it back across with the runners. He can also go 1v1. He's dangerous on either the right or the left. He goes for the latter, cuts it back inside, draws a penalty, and looks to put him up.
55 goals, all competitions for Louisville for Cameron Lancaster. Paul is having some heated words right now. He's put on the captain's armband. Lancaster against Burner. Lancaster delivers. That goal is presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. The Kentucky Lottery.
Whether it's on the right foot or the left foot for Cameron Lancaster, you know that in set piece situations, it's always going to be on the right. And the reason he's at his best, Mike, especially from spots, is because of his ability to dictate exactly where he wants this to go. Watch his hips. Short little run up, and at the tail end of it, nice little open. He keeps him square. He's so good about making the goalkeeper make the decision for him because he can close his hips, whip it back around, grab a tremendous amount of place, or he bide his time, just waits for the goalkeeper to shift a tiny bit, place it in the bottom corner. Excellently taken by Cameron Lancaster.
Second of the year for Lancaster. Louisville now lead 2-0. Del Piccolo. You get the feeling Louisville really wants to push the pedal down now. Gomez. Gomez squares off of Burner and over the line by Ownby. It's an absolute thrashing now at Lynn Family Stadium. The floodgates have opened. A goal presented by the Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education, the Kentucky Lottery.
This is how quickly it goes from bad to worse and the transitional moments against Louisville City. First half, Lou City, a lot of respect coming from the home squad in terms of the fact that they were not pushing the pace from Jogo or Pat McMahon. Here in the second, not only have they turned up the heat, but with the red card to Skylar Thomas, it's all hands on deck. Great run by Jonathan Gomez. His ability to pick out runners in the final third cannot reach a better compliment than Brian Ownby on the tail end of this thing to finish it off.
Ownby's first goal since September 20th last year against Memphis. And only his second goal in the past 2 seasons. In total, Ownby, 14 goals in USL competitions, including, of course, playoff Ownby, a different beast altogether. And it's 3-0 now.
What is his name if it's not Mr. October, right? Because playoffs can start last week of October and then bridge 2 months. So we need some sort of hybrid month we can put on that type of moniker.
Reggie Jackson was Mr. October, but at some point he must have played in a World Series in November, right?
You would think.
Thomas red card in the 57th, and it's simply slipped away from Memphis on the night since then. You could certainly argue that they'll feel hard done on their trip home, but the operative word is home. 3 straight matches at home for them. Well, they would certainly be dissatisfied coming away with 5 points, as now McCabe goes into the book, a Vivify yellow card. 5 points from 5 road games. Certainly Ben Pierman wants more, but conversely, he made the point to us. Candidly, we are considered one of the lesser teams right now. So we're going to go home, play Atlanta, Oklahoma City, and Kansas City. We can't expect just because we go home we're going to win those matches. But if they do, full speed ahead. This didn't really change anything in terms of their long-term prognostication.
I figure this as well, that in their opening 4 matches prior to this match, the loss at Birmingham deserved. They were not the better team. They weren't great, and they weren't played off the field, but Birmingham was the better team. But against Atlanta United too, they felt like they lost that game, and he's right, because they had full control. They were down early, but controlled everything after that, and a late goal at the tail end of it to cough it up gets them the draw. They only get 1 point. Same thing at OKC on the road. Remember, 4 to start prior to this one. This makes it 5. They could have easily had a point there, couldn't convert their chances.
Del Piccolo, Gomez. Bone did well to get this out. Rolled on to Gibson. McMahon's starting to go the hair like our producer, Eric Falero, at this point. Gibson. '74th minute, it was scoreless at halftime. The red card to Thomas certainly changed the dynamic. Wes Sharpie will come off. He opened the scoring. And Alexi Sawahi comes on. Sub brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. And Akil Watts will replace Pat McMahon. Sub brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. And a change here, it's going to be Gomez coming off. He looks as surprised as we were. The late change to the card. So Watts replaces Gomez. Sub brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. Gomez just coming back in from Mexican national team camp. A lot of talk about making sure his load was appropriately managed coming out of that experience. Del Piccolo, McCabe. Sawahi, first time coming off the bench this year, played every minute of the season coming into the night. I could let Lance McGarvey do the read, but I suppose I should do it too. Ball swung across. This will get over Gonzalez and out. Untouched. Hydration break. Fans can head to Twitter now to vote for tonight's Dr. Mark Lennon Associates Man of the Match. Poll open the next few minutes. Vote now. Twitter.com/Lou City. Lancaster scored in the 68th, the penalty. Ownby in the 70th. Wes Sharpie in the 58th minute. After the red card to Skylar Thomas, really upended the game here. Sent off in the 57th minute. Let's get you caught up if you're just joining us at this point. We're going to go back to that 58th minute, and coming off the red card, Del Piccolo, second bite of the apple there, Sharpie.
A great job by Wes Sharpie, just recognizing that sometimes this isn't going to go to plan, and if the ball's not on frame, you got to have bodies around it. Good finish. Cameron Lancaster steps up after he gets taken down in the box, buries it into the bottom corner. Well done from the substitute. And then, of course, Jonathan Gomez, who's a fantastic distributor of the ball in transition and off the back line. This time, he gets into the final third, finds the back post run of Brian Ownby. Let's go back to the foul, though, and Skylar Thomas. And what fans at home, I want you to understand this. In order for Dogzo to be met and a player to be thrown out, a couple pieces of criteria have to be met. Number one, it's the distance between the offense and the goal and how that plays out. That checks the mark here. Number two, it's the general direction of the play. Is it moving towards goal, and what area is that in? That gets it as well, because it's moving towards goal and it's in around the top of the box. The third is likelihood of keeping or gaining control of the ball. This one's a little bit of an argument because I don't even necessarily know if I see a foul here, but let's, for argument's sake, say that the referee is going to say a foul. He is moving towards goal. He has a chance to play it. So there's 3 out of the 4. The fourth one, the location and number of defenders in the vicinity. This is where I have a real problem, Mike, because there's other players around it as well. I don't see a foul overall. However, if it is a foul, you haven't met all the criteria for a Dogzo, which means he's only got 3 out of the 4. So you can A, call a foul, number one, and B, still call a foul and give a yellow. Be very clear here. My issue is with the fact that it's issued a straight red. That's where the problem lies within the decision here for me. If you want to go with the yellow, I don't necessarily agree with it, though you may have more of an argument, but it's 100%. If you're going to call a foul, it's right outside the top of the box. I just don't understand at all how it's a straight red.
Alas, it was 57th minute, and so it goes. Kadeem Dakers was just returning from a suspension for a red card himself. Burner.
I mentioned to you, by the way, to change gears here. At halftime, we talked about upcoming fixtures and how the standard setter was going to be Charlotte Independence and Hartford Athletic, given what their schedules have produced, or I should say results have produced off their schedule so far. But Miami FC and Pittsburgh Riverhounds, what they are. 1-1 draw tonight. Still not necessarily sure, right?
No, we're no closer to finding out. So much turnover on those teams. Certainly more for Pittsburgh than Miami.
I would say that Miami in the positive probably. Normally you would argue that so much turnover for a squad is a negative.
Yep.
But it's hard to make that argument against Bob Lilly. This may be the year, right? That it's too much of an ask. But any coach, Danny Cruz included, will tell you they saw that team in preseason. They know what the coach is all about. It's very difficult to stack the chips against him. He's that good of a coach. He can take a striker coming out of a D2, D3 college, even Division I, but who's got 30-plus goals to his name and turn him into a best 11 center back. I mean, that's the kind of cred, if you will, that he carries within him. Conversely, he'll take a guy who was an All-American on the back line and turn him into a Golden Boot winner. So, well, what do I know? What we do know is that 5 out of the previous 9 years, he's had either a Golden Glove winner or a Goalkeeper of the Year award.
And for what it's worth, Louisville fans probably remember him better, even with all the battles that they've fought against Pittsburgh and Bob Lilly's time there. Eastern Conference Final 2015.
The Rhinos.
Which, believe it or not, predated my existence in this league, and yours too.
You weren't born back then?
Ben Pierman and I were just a twinkle in this league's eye.
There it is.
Yeah. But turning Asani Samuels into the goal scorer, a little-known indoor arena league player, and Canardo Forbes was, all things considered, a kid back then. I'll never forget that the goal, I believe, put Rochester into the final was scored by Vasilios Apostolopoulos.
Gotta be honest, respect to the player. A little bit happy I wasn't around to have to read that pronunciation guide.
It's a Kip man's nightmare.
The PR would have had their phone ringing off the hook. I'm gonna need it phonetically. I'm gonna need the player to say it. You're gonna have to use it in a sentence. Can I have the origin of the word, please?
The language of origin should be fairly straightforward, to be fair.
I'd still get it wrong.
I won't be here. Louisville does have one substitution left to use here at this point. Worth keeping in mind as we inch toward the finish line in this one. For Louisville, they'll host Birmingham next and then go away to Tulsa. And assuming Louisville can see this out, and they certainly seem well on their way, this will snap a 2-game losing skid. And that Birmingham match, I think, is one that everyone in the league is going to want to keep an eye on.
Well, especially the fact that you're now going to have the momentum, which is scary for both Lou City on the positive side and Birmingham, Tom Sohn, which could turn into negative. You have the momentum of Lou City that is now, quote unquote, recovered, although people thought there was ever an issue. Still ceases to amaze me. But a team that has, for now, regained its composure, set aside a pretty stout defensive team, red card or not. They produced plenty of opportunities in the first half. Didn't have anything to show for those efforts, of course, but still looked good in terms of build-up. And Birmingham, a team that, tell you what, man, they are getting better and better every time they step out. 8 games played, which is one thing you want to keep your eye on, the fact that they are so far out in front of some teams. 901 FC, 3 games in hand, right?
And theoretically, and it doesn't exactly work this way, but their next 3 games are at home.
Yeah. You win 3 in a row and Birmingham doesn't play a game, you're only 2 points back.
Right.
Go figure.
But even beyond that, you're firmly in playoff position at that point. If you take care of business at home over the next few weeks, you can argue Memphis is going to feel really good. That's a big if, naturally. And we've seen teams with games in hand falter. Keel Watts steps in. For Louisville, that game away to Tulsa has all the makings of a Heckle and Hyde. Jekyll and Hyde.
I would. Is that the sequel?
It is.
Heckle and Hyde.
Yes.
Mike Watts, the producer. Courtesy of Jerry Bruckheimer.
So roll down the middle here. We'll see if Memphis can turn something in here late. Dakers. Love to make a splash, certainly. Away from Bone.
They're pretty front-loaded, Louisville City, with home games. 7 of the first 9 within the Cathedral. They do have some rough road games. So that July 23rd match at Colorado Springs Switchbacks, that could be an interesting one too. Going out west, 9 o'clock game, Widener Field, up-tempo. You know, Brendan Burke has established himself within the coaching circles as pretty highly regarded amongst his peers.
Up-and-comer for sure.
And now the fact that he's got his own standalone team, assembled a quality roster. Haji Berry's in form once again. What does the September 7th match at Hartford Athletic look like? You'll have, when we talk about Pittsburgh and Miami, that we don't know what they are yet, you'll have a real good idea at that point in time what Harry Watling and Hartford Athletic is. Because you've seen some glimpses so far. Still a lot to be told within that story, but of course Lipa FC 11 days later at Indy 11. An opportunity for retribution, the 29th at Atlanta United 2. Still plenty to be told. People are probably going, well, why are you guys looking all the way down the schedule? It's fun. You know, it's talking points of what this could look like as the season plays out. And everybody coming into the Central Division said 4 teams. Everybody said Indy, Louisville, Tulsa, Birmingham. I always thought the 4-5 mark was, you wondered what that would be, and that still could be that way.
But I'm starting to wonder if it's more like 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know what it is.
Tell you what, man, this league this year, the results that are being produced by the teams really makes you question who's going to be what they thought they were, and how do some of the quote-unquote lesser teams play out. Atlanta United 2 was someone everybody wrote off, myself included. And whether or not I agree with how well they have or have not played, they're still getting results.
The numbers are there.
They're sitting number 2 in the Central. 20-plus games to go, but...
This has been a pretty dazzling clinic of passing here from Louisville, probing Lancaster. Del Piccolo ushers this out to Akil Watts. You asked what Hartford's going to be, was it September 7th? Ask me September 1st, I'll know by then.
Yeah, I'll ask you on the 8th. Mike, can I get a scouting report here? What do you think they are? Well.
They are who we thought they were.
There you go.
We'll see tomorrow if Charlotte lets them off the hook, or vice versa.
Oh, I think that's going to be a real fun matchup. Tactically, they're extremely different coaching styles. Just the opportunity to pick the brain of Mike Jeffries, seasoned vet, been around United States soccer for a tremendous amount of time. You're looking at a guy who, you know, was part of a college program dating back to the 80s, one of the longest games ever. Still being played, actually. For Duke, of course, and, you know, coach at MLS, coach in the United States Youth National Program, a scout for them as well. And
finding out he coached Oscar Pareja
that
threw me for a loop.
Well, it's funny, right? Because when you look at it, it's really easy to figure out, but you don't necessarily pick that out right away. You know, he talked about the relationship where it came from, but then you go, oh, yeah, of course. I love the fact that you had to remind yourself that that was Dallas Byrne then, not FC Dallas.
Right.
That's right.
Sub here with Bone coming off. Chance for us to mention tonight's Dr. Mark Lennon Associates Man of the Match. And as we all expected, it's Wes Sharpie.
Yeah,
that's why Devin highlighted him pregame.
That's what I'm saying. You know, I once in a blue moon, I get something right in Wes Sharpie. Fantastic performance, and everybody's going to look at the goal in the 55th minute, but it's his ability to close down the offensive options for 901 FC. You know, whether it's been Kyle Murphy, Dolly came on as a substitute, Michael Salazar, of course, the outside runs of Kisidu, Kadeem Dakers at halftime, Atua Henny. You're talking about some pretty impressive individuals who can do wondrous things in the final third, and he didn't have to blink an eye. Wes Sharpie was fantastic from start to finish in his shift.
McLaughlin came on. He waited almost 7 minutes for that ball to get out of play, entirely on Louisville's foot. We're into the 90th minute now. How different would this game have been if it remained 11 v 11? We'll never find an answer to that. But Louisville struck immediately after Skylar Thomas was sent off. Bagged the pair more minutes later in quick succession. The penalty by Lancaster, believe it or not, marks 5 straight Louisville games in which there has been a penalty taken by one team or the other. Which is to say, I don't think there's a ref in America who's interested in doing the Louisville-Birmingham game.
Tom Stone sitting at home going, Watts, Michael Watts.
It could be going the other way.
Could be going against him, too.
Indeed. I just said there were penalties. I didn't say it was taken.
Do commentators' curses bridge games?
do records bridge seasons?
Bridge years, yeah. It's this time-space continuum.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Same argument. Devin, I think to outsiders, it'd be easy to say you've played a bunch of games here now. Racing the Louisville side opening up the Challenge Cup and into the NWSL regular season, the USL Championship, and the playoffs last year and into this year for Louisville City. And yet the build-up to this match just felt a little bit different than every match since that Louisville-Pittsburgh ribbon-cutting game last year. Just to have everybody at Lynn Family Stadium was always going to come with a little extra juice today, and it has borne out. Ownby, kissy adieu. Gibson. Oh, excellent. McLaughlin found Watts. Watts leans. Del Piccolo. This will come back out. Scoot over the line. Corner here for Louisville, brought to you by Vivify. And a minute to go. From Jimmy McLaughlin, he played the Cincinnati-Louisville match in 2018 that set a franchise record for attendance. This one was going to be on the cusp, and still waiting for that final official attendance figure to see if this surpassed that previous mark. McLaughlin. Watts, Del Piccolo, Lancaster. Lancaster curls. There's Burner. Final seconds tick away. And the roar of the fans is going to be the enduring experience of the night. The losing streak ends for Memphis. Their long, arduous 5-game season-opening road swing is in the rear view. 3-0 Louisville over Memphis tonight. Let's take a look at the Good Hands save of the game. It's presented by Allstate. That was a big one in the run of play.
Remember, John Burner was the one who was very active, but still a very important save. This was right about the 25-30 minute mark where 901 FC started to feel more comfortable on the ball. Their transitional moments started to poke their head out a little more. Well done by Chris Hubbard to not only make the save, Mike, but push it away from a danger area. Textbook goalkeeping.
Cameron Lancaster bags a goal from the penalty spot. Ownby scores just moments later after Wes Sharpie opened the scoring. Smoke released. We'll take a look back at the game, wrap it up after this.
Enjoying the sunshine and fresh air can be hard for many of us. Advanced ENT and Allergy is the regional leader in upper airway care. From allergies, sinus problems, sleep apnea, hearing health, and more, our medical team treats everyone like family. Advanced ENT and Allergy offers same-day appointments, and for many, no referral is needed. Our outstanding team of physicians, along with state-of-the-art technology, can get you breathing right, sleeping well, and feeling better sooner. Go to advancedentandallergy.com for your appointment. 8 locations.
Push, 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 and relax.
One day, I just didn't feel good, and all of a sudden, I couldn't move from the neck down. It's crazy how fast things can change for somebody.
At an age where kids start to gain independence, he lost his.
What I have is called acute flastomyelitis. It's like a polio-like disease, and it affects your spinal cord, and it affects everybody differently, but it's mostly paralysis. For me, it was from the neck down, but for other people, it might be your right arm or just your legs.
We're blessed to have Cozair Charities and help us with these type visits that Shane desperately needs.
Many children could not be attending therapy here if we didn't have the COSAIR Kids program.
COSAIR has lifted a huge burden from us and allowed Shane to progress the way that he has. And without that, I don't know where we would be.
To apply for assistance or to support the COSAIR Kids program, go to cosair.org/kids.
Welcome back to Louisville, Kentucky. Celebration continues, and it's going to be a little more crowded coming out of the stadium in Butchertown tonight. Louisville 3, Memphis 0. Postgame brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Speaking of, tonight's Toyota move of the game. Who's going places? Jonathan Gomez is.
This kid is a wondrous talent. Coming out of the United States, an opportunity with both Mexico and the United States youth national team. Everything that this organization says is there are world-class things in the future for him, but all he is focused on right now is the ability to help his team win and to do it at the highest level. Got an opportunity to see that on the ball played to the back post by Brian Omi in the 70th minute.
Tonight's game summary is brought to you by Dan O's Seasoning. This was the inflection point. Red card to Skylar Thomas.
57th minute, you go down to 10 men, and good job by the wall. Little jump, and Del Piccolo's trying to put this back onto frame. Inadvertently puts it back into the danger area. Wes Sharpie laying and waiting. Great finish by the center back, put it into the bottom corner. So they're out and running. It's 1-0, and it turned into, Mike, an onslaught of goals. 3 in the span of 12 minutes. This is a penalty. Lancaster gets taken down. Bottom corner, 2-0. Well done by Cameron Lancaster coming on as a substitute moments later. Not only is he the one who draws the penalty, he's able to bury it in the back of the net, grabbing his second goal of the season. And then just as we showed you moments ago, Jonathan Gomez in transition isn't able to pick out Corbin Bone, but on a deflection, Brian Omi, the recipient of this ball to the backside, puts it away. Again, 3 goals in 12 minutes for Louisville City to pick up 3 vital points.
Ownby, according to Lou City's Twitter, best beard in the league scores a goal. That's a headline. What's the headline you take away from this game, however, Devin?
How big of an impact an ill-timed call can have on a match. But I will say this, whether you agree with the decision or not, Louisville City was already the best team. They were already, by far and away, the better team. They had the best possession, the best chances, everything. 901 FC, a few opportunities in the first half, nothing really threatening except for Kyle Murphy. Chris Hubbard answered that call. Louisville City back on track. They get a victory, much needed. 901 FC, you have to commend them for the results on the road. Now an opportunity in a few days' time to get back on track and get back to business.
Both these teams at home on Wednesday. Memphis will host Atlanta. Louisville will host Birmingham. Until then, for our entire Vista WorldLink crew, led by producer Rick Falero, Gage Teotson, Manny Simeone, and Devin Carr, Mike Watts saying so long from Louisville. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.